What's up, guys? This is Martin, and on this video, I want to talk about the importance of diversifying your life. So, diversification is very, very, very important because diversification is used, especially in the finance sector, is used to minimize risks. So whenever you diversify, it means that you have different options, you have different paths, so that when one path goes down, one path is still available to deliver expected value or to deliver expected returns. So that's the power of diversification. It is used to minimize the risks. And I think that diversification is also important when you're making important life decisions. So on this video, I want to speak about 2 or 3 different scenarios that you can use diversification to ensure that you minimize your risks, your life risks, because it's very, very important to ensure that whenever you make a decision, you minimize risks. People all talk about going all in and making sure that you are high risk, but that's not a smart thing. It's not a very, very smart thing, because whenever you make a decision, there is a possibility of failure. Whenever you say, okay, this is my path, this is my strategic decision, this is my strategic plan, that plan might not pan out. There might be failure. So you have to understand that by diversifying, by having diversification mentality, you can minimize risk and still maximize the upside. So the first scenario that I want to talk about is, let's say scenario A is, let's say, a young man who wants to be wealthy, a young man who is ambitious. And let's say someone who is 18, 19, 20 years old, even if it's a young woman, and you are ambitious, you want to be wealthy, you want to be rich. How do you diversify your decision making? The first thing that I will start with, let's say that you want to start a company, you want to start a business. You feel like, okay, cool, now I want to start a business. I want to hopefully make sure that this business in the future, after 10 years, it is worth a lot of money. How would you diversify your decision making? To diversify your decision making, you have to make sure that you have different paths. You have path A and path B that have a low positive correlation. So what is correlation? Correlation is that two scenarios or two datas move together, or they don't move, they move in an opposite direction. When two sets of data move in the same direction, we say that they are positively correlated. And when two sets of data move in opposite direction, we say that they are negatively correlated. So to ensure that you minimize the risk, you want to make sure that you diversify and you take actions that have low positive correlation or they have negative correlation. When they have low positive correlation, it means that when this set of data goes up, this set of data is going up, the other one is slightly going up like this. It's not, they not move in the same direction. They're not perfectly positive correlated. The other one moves up and then the other one moves slightly higher, but they don't go up together like a perfectly positive correlation. Or you want to make sure that you have a negative correlation whereby the other one goes up, the other one goes down, so they are negatively correlated. So there's no clear in terms of positive correlation. They have a negative correlation. The other one goes up, the other one goes down, and a negative correlation minimizes risk to even zero. You can have 0% risk when you follow negatively correlated decision making. So in terms of a young man, if you're a young man or a young woman and you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to become wealthy, the perfect way of diversification will be you focus on learning business and you focus on getting an education. So you can learn business on the side, you can read books on the side, but also you get a formal education that is related to business. It can be a business course, a business marketing course, marketing, or a business management course, or financial management, something related to business. You can do that, and that becomes your education. Okay, fine. I want to start a business, But for me to start a business, I'm not going all in and dropping out of university and going all in and study my business, because when you do that, that is not diversifying. When you go all in and you say, okay, fine, I'm going all in and I'm starting my business, that is not smart. That is not smart. That is not diversifying. That means that you are going all in and you are focusing on a positive correlation. That means that 100% of your risk is based on this decision that you're doing. What happens if the decision fails? And that happens. You see people all over the internet that brag about that they went all in, they dropped out of university, they pursued their dream of entrepreneurship. But those are only the minority. Majority of people who start businesses fail. Over 90% of startups fail. But you don't see that. You don't see that. You don't see that on the internet. You don't see that on the news. You don't see that people experienced financial ruins. People had to now go back to zero because they went all in. They didn't diversify their decision making. They went all in and then they have lost everything. But by diversifying, now you go and have a formal education, and then you know that, okay, fine, in 3 to 5 years I'm going to have a formal education, and while you are studying you can start that business on the side. It can be a side hustle. Maybe you can get a part-time job, which will be tough because you won't have enough time, but maybe you can have a part-time job, generate some money, and then now you can have one product that you're selling on campus, and you're also using social media platforms to promote your product. Because by doing that, you can potentially grow that business. After 5 years you graduate, and then potentially you have also have a good business, but also if the business fails, which is a possibility, it is a possibility that that business can also fail. So that means that you can do all of those things, work part-time, raise some money, get the product, promote it, and still fail. But because now you are learning about business, you can potentially see, okay, fine, these are the mistakes that I have made. And another key point is that after that 5 years, after that 3 years, you have completed your qualification, and your expected value of return increases because you have diversified your decision making. You took two paths. You took a path that was low positive correlated. So now you have qualified. You have your qualification, meaning that you can get a job and you can start earning money. So your expected value of return goes up. Let me repeat that: your expected value of return goes up, and then now the business has failed. There's low positive correlation. The business has failed, but you're still gonna make money net because your expected value of return went up because you have diversified your decision making. You took a path of qualification, and then you took another path of starting this business. So still that degree has a potential to give you more money because you can get a job. So that's the first point that I want to talk about: the power of diversification. That's why diversification is very, very important. Very, very, very important. And because you have the skill set, you have built capacity, you have learned about business, you can see the mistakes that you've made from the business that you started. But diversification is key, guys. You can just see, just from this scenario, that as a young individual, and you choose those two paths of pursuing a formal education related to business, and you can even start your business also on the side. If the other one fails, if the business fails, the qualification is very important. It's very, very important. It's going to help you. If the business wins and then you make money, and also you finish your qualification, it's still net positive. You are still net positive. Your expected value of return now goes up, but it's not symmetrical. It's not positive correlated. It's low positive. They're still going higher, but the other one is positive correlation. Positive correlation. The other one is less. It's less positive correlation. It's not negative correlation. It's less positive. So you want that. You want to focus on less or low positive correlation to negative correlation. Negative correlation means that they are completely unrelated. So a negative correlation will be doing business on the side and then studying something like physics. Studying physics or studying engineering, something that is not related to business. So that would be negative correlated, because that even this one is good, because that if you study something like this, you have a good chance of getting a very, very good job, And then if the business fails also, but they are negatively correlated. If the business wins, you still make money. You make money this side, you make money this side. But negative correlation also is the one that reduces risk to zero. So even that scenario is also perfect. If you want that, you can also use the negatively correlated decision making, whereby your decisions are not correlated at all. So the first scenario is about low positive correlation, whereby you're learning about business and you're also studying your own business on the side. That is low positive correlation. So the other scenario that I want to talk about is a scenario whereby, let's say that you are a couple and maybe you have a kid or two, and both of you guys are working good jobs. You're working good jobs. Maybe you're earning 30, 40K above per month, but you have noticed that you are not financially free. You are living salary to salary, which is happening to most South Africans right now. Most South Africans who earn good amounts of money are living salary to salary because of lifestyle inflation, because their lifestyle have grown higher, you know, in terms of their debts, their expenses, the rate of growth of their lifestyle and their debts have exceeded the rate of growth of their salaries. So their salaries is kind of growing at a constant rate, and then your expenses and your debt is growing at an accelerated level. It's growing at a very, very, very high level. Before you know it now, the gap is quite small. The gap is quite small based on your expenses and debts and based on your salary. The gap is quite small, and now you are relying on salaries now to keep you afloat. Why? Because now you have big expenses. You have an expensive car, you have an expensive apartment. All of these things you don't own. You don't own them. They are just there sucking money, but they're not bringing any money. So that is not good. That is not good at all. A scenario for that will be to diversify. Will be to take a risk and potentially set yourself financially free in the future. But that requires strategic decision making. So the first strategic decision making that you have to do is to increase the net that is left, the net cash flow that is left after your expenses and your debt obligations. When you minus them from your salary, you have to make sure that this gap becomes bigger. You have to increase this gap. And how do you increase this gap? You increase the gap by first downgrading your lifestyle, by first living below your means. It means that if you are driving a BMW, you are driving that expensive Audi, that expensive Mercedes Benz, you are living in that posh apartment, you downgrade. You sell the car, the expensive car, you get a cheaper alternative. You get a Polo, you get I don't know, a Toyota, whatever. But this is for a short term. And you know that even though my car is very, very less costly, it doesn't define who I am. I'm not defined by materialistic possessions. I know who I am from a deeper from an inner point of view. I'm not defined by the car that I drive. I'm not defined by where I live. So that requires you also to find who you are, to understand your identity. Because if now your identity is tied around the material possessions that you have, it means that you don't know who you are. So that is also a powerful thing to do, and to sell these things and to understand who you are from a deeper point of view, from a deeper level. And then that's the first phase. You sell these things and then you live below your means because you wanna increase the net cash flow that you have. And then what happens is that the next step could be you take risks. You take a risk, but first you have increased your net cash flow. The next portion can be that you now save money. You save more money now. You save more money. Maybe for like you say, okay, sharp. This is a 5-year plan. The first 2 years we'll be saving money because we have downgraded our lifestyle. The first 2 years we'll be saving money. We're gonna save a lot of money, You can invest that money that you save so that it grows some interest. So you save every month. You save, you put it in an account that gives you some return on investment. You save, you want to make sure that it earns some returns. It's not just sitting on your account doing nothing. You want to put it somewhere whereby, like I said, it earns some returns. You can buy treasury bills if you don't want to take any risk. You research treasury bills, because treasury bills are the safest investment in the world. So Google treasury bills if you don't know what they are. And by the way, this is not investment advice. This is just educational purpose. This is just something to give you an idea of other alternatives. So okay, fine. You invest money, you save and invest for 2 years. After that, you sit down, you're like, okay, baby, let's talk now. Let's talk. We have been saving money now for 2 years, and I think that there's this business opportunity that I want to do. I want to try out this business opportunity. You, as the man, even if the woman wants to do it, that's fine. You tell your woman, like, baby, I'm thinking of resigning from my work. But because now we have downgraded our lifestyle, we are living in a cheaper accommodation, which is still good. Doesn't mean that you have to now suffer. We are driving less expensive cars. I don't know, maybe our kid now goes to a good public school, because even public schools deliver world-class graduates and world-class leaders. So it doesn't mean that if your kid goes to a public school, it's the end of the world. But that's something that you have to decide. So now, let me take a risk, because we've been talking about starting a business one day. I think that the safest way, because now you are a married couple or you are just a couple with 2 kids, 3 kids, whatever. Let me take a risk, and then let's diversify. Diversification. You continue your job. I will quit my job, and I will use these savings that I have and that we have, and then we can take a portion of those savings and start this business. Let's go and start building this business. Let's get this product in the market and see what happens. So you now experiment. It's experimentation, but it's a safe experimentation, because the other cash flow, the other salary is still available. That salary can support the household, and also the savings. The savings for 2 years that you guys put in, mega savings, are still there. And then from those savings, you can take a fraction of those savings, maybe 30% of those savings, and see what you can do. And that one is going to be very important, to also get one partner to resign, so that the partner can focus wholly, put their mental focus on the business, you know 12 hours a day, pushing the business, trying to find out how to grow the business, as well as learning. The key important part also is to learn, is to increase your capacity. Increase your capacity, learn about business, read business books, look at podcasts, look at shows about business like Shark Tank and other shows that are very, very um, give you valuable information. You do that. And then when you do that, you go, okay, sharp, I'm gonna now give this thing 2 years to 3 years a try, because we have capital now that we can start with. And then you do your budgeting. Okay, fine, year one, this is going to be my run rate. I'm gonna spend maybe 40,000 for this year to start my product, get it in the market. Year two, hopefully I can spend another 40,000, to market it, etc., etc. Then you give yourself maybe 3 years. 3 years, and then you see what happens. In the 3 years, the business can have some amazing traction. The business can be sustainable. The business can start growing money. And then when the business is making money now, in the long run, you can potentially make millions. So your lifestyle was like this. You downgraded your lifestyle. After downgrading the lifestyle went up now, and but doesn't have to go up like crazy. This is like the typical chart in the financial market. Goes up, goes down. When it goes down, when there's blood in the market, when people are making fun of you, that's a very, very good point. That's when you learn the most about yourself. That's when you learn most about your people. And in the financial markets, that's when smart investors buy. That's when your Warren Buffett buys, because there's blood in the streets. When people are panicking, that's where the opportunity is. And then boom, you go up. Same thing in your life now. Potentially the business works. Potentially the business makes money. When the business now is making money, Your lifestyle can be restored. You have learned about yourself. You have learned that you are not defined by materialistic things. You have learned about who were your fake friends and who were people that were already supporting you. You know yourself and your cycle much, 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 much better. And then now you have potentially made millions and millions and millions by taking that risk, a strategical risk that has minimized the level of risk through diversification. This one, the risk is almost zero because the other partner is still this uncorrelated diversification. There's no correlation because the other partner is working, you are taking a risk in business. So negative correlation, negative correlation. So the risk is zero because you're not gonna suffer. There's still cash flow that is coming in the family. The cash flow is coming from the other partner. You are taking a risk here. If the business fails, which is a possibility, if the business fails, life still continues. The other partner is still working. You can go back and then go get another job. And then maybe after 2 years, save again. Or after 3 years, you save money, you try again. In 10 years, you're not just living paycheck to paycheck. In 10 years, you have learned a lot about yourself. In 10 years, you have grown as a human being. In 10 years, you have grown as a couple. Because when the other person is taking the risk, you are learning as well. You are learning about the business, you are learning about the market, you're learning about marketing, you are learning a lot, you're learning about yourself, you're learning about the people around you. Rather than in 10 years, you're just living salary to salary. You have a small gap of your expenses and your salary. You're just living in this small cash flow that you have after salary, after deductions, after expenses. You just live in this smaller thing, in this smaller box for 10 years, and there's no real growth. But when you diversify strategically, you can grow exponentially. You can grow exponentially in 10 years because even if the first business doesn't work, the partner can get another job for 2 years, save money again, and try again. Go again in the market, see if they can make it this time, through diversification. So diversification is a very, very powerful idea. Very, very powerful idea. So this is two scenarios. Scenario A is about when you are young and ambitious. Scenario B is about when you have a family and still ambitious. You can do it. So scenario C can be if you are middle class, maybe you are a single mom, a single parent, a single father, and you still also want to take a risk. The best way to do it is to do it like scenario A, is to educate yourself first while having the job. Educate yourself first about marketing, about business, about building a brand on the side. And then after educating yourself, maybe for like 6 months to 1 year, the following year launch as a side gig. But first educate yourself. Learn, learn how people in different countries were able to grow their brands. Learn how people in different product, even in the same market or in the same country, grow their product. Learn the numbers of business. Learn marketing. Marketing is very, very important. Learn manufacturing. Learn all of these things for like a year. Weekly, like slowly you learn, and then maybe the following year now you launch on the side. You're gonna work hard, obviously, because it's only you, and then you have your job. You're a single parent, you're a single whatever. You have your job, you have that job that is coming in, and then you start now also to strategically save money, and then you start launching this product kancane kancane, slowly but surely. You launch it on the market. You do advertising is very powerful. Digital advertising is very powerful. Social media advertising is very powerful. You do social media advertising, you learn, you see how it goes. When you come from your job, you do packaging. You can also hire people from the get-go, like give them small money, tell them, okay, I'm going to give you equity, just package, just for packaging, and then you help me packaging this business, I'll give you equity, and this business can grow. And then before you know it, now you are resigning from your job because the business is making 10 million rents a year. It's giving you a net profit of like 4 million. If it's a business with a good profit margin, you are killing it. And then now you're focusing on the business, and then the business grows to 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, 100 million. You sell the business. In 5 to 10 years, you can also change your life by being strategic, by diversifying, by being smart. So that is diversification is very powerful. You can also do it when you are broke and you don't have anything to lose. The first thing that I will encourage is education, education, education. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. Start first by education. Get cash flow, get a job, and then once you educate yourself, you get cash flow, you get a job. Now you can start diversifying the salary that you get and building on the side. And you can, there's so many careers that now this is another scenario when you are broke. Now you have to go all in when you're broke. Go all in on a career that essentially on a qualification, on an education. But if you can't afford money to go to varsity, start learn technical skills like data analyst, use AI, learn how AI can can help you. Like learn technical skills. Technical skills, I'm talking fast. Learn technical skills. Even coding. Learn how to code because you can do it and build a portfolio and show recruiters that I learned this thing. Now AI is a powerful thing that can help you learn faster, but you still have to know the technical point of view. You still have to understand how things work. So if you're broke, I will encourage learning technical skills and build a portfolio because a portfolio will help you stand out like a serious portfolio. That's the first thing that you have to do. You have to learn first, build a portfolio. If you're broke, get a job, get some cash flow, learn about business, diversify your income. So I've spoken a lot, and the key theme here is about diversification. I spoke about how diversification helps you minimize risk in different scenarios. So it's very, very important to diversify your life. By diversification, you minimize risk, you minimize headache, you minimize stress, and you potentially maximize the upside. But even if you lose, you learn, you try again. But diversification is very powerful because it it keeps you in the game. It keeps you in the game. Even if things go south, even if everything fails, you still have some form of cash flow. You still have some form of income that is still coming in. So diversification is a very, very powerful component. It's a very, very powerful tool. I hope that this video has been powerful. See you on the other side. The next video that I'm going to make a video about how investors of Tesla and SpaceX are potentially at risk of what we call a non-diversifiable risk, a systematic risk, because those investors are both in the same industry. That industry is AI. They are all focused on AI. And remember, the owner was focused on electric cars. Now AI is hot down. Now focused on AI. And when the AI bubble bursts, not if, when, oh my goodness, those investors will suffer a lot. But that will give us an opportunity for us to invest. Not now. Wait for the AI bubble to burst because SpaceX will go down hard, Nvidia will go down, Tesla will go down because the whole story now is about AI, which is about this big thing, this technological revolution, which is it is a technological revolution, but it's also overhyped. Assets are overhyped. We are yet to see returns of investment. So yeah, man, stay tuned. That will be the topic for the next video. It's going to be a brief video. This video has been long, but that's what this channel is all about. This channel is all about looking at business and finance concept, and seeing how they relate to normal life, ordinary life. Like how can you use them on your normal life. And that's what I love about business, about finance, is that these things that you learn, you can apply them instantly in your life. You know what I'm saying? So thank you.